The British Empire is the last major power fighting Nazi Germany. The British Isles are exposed to constant air attack and are utterly dependent on supplies arriving by sea. In this critical hour of the war, code breakers at Bletchley Park continue to unravel the Enigma codes used by the German Army and Air Force, but they're unable to crack the formidable Enigma codes used by the German Navy. In the North Atlantic, German U-boats are sinking merchant ships bound for Great Britain at an alarming rate. Without the food and fuel they carry, British resistance will crumble. Through summer and autumn of 1940, the number of British merchant ships lost to U-boat attack mounts steadily. In October, convoy SC-7 from Nova Scotia, Canada, bound for Liverpool, England, loses 20 of its 35 merchant ships. U-boat crews nickname this period Die glückliche Zeit, the happy time. At the current rate, Britain's industrial output will soon come to a halt, and its people will begin to starve. For British code breakers at Bletchley Park, the stakes have never been higher. U-boat operations depend on radio messages to coordinate their searches, report convoy sightings, and to gather as wolf packs. As they close in for the kill, the German Navy has been using Enigma since 1926, and their procedures are far more disciplined than the Army or Air Force. The operator errors exploited by Bletchley to break Army and Air Force Enigma will not work against the Navy. Naval Enigma machines also have more possible settings. From 1940, the German Navy are switching between 8 code wheels rather than the 5 used by the Army and Air Force. This represents a massive increase in complexity, raising the possible combinations of rotors from 60 to 336. Few believe the naval codes can be broken. Even Alastair Denniston, head of GC and CS, thinks the task is impossible. One of the few people who believe it can be done is Alan Turing. He will head up the attack on Naval Enigma from Hut 8 in the grounds of Bletchley Park. Turing goes to work on the problem. He deduces that the naval message keys are further encrypted using Bigram tables, which lay out substitutions for letter pairings that change daily. Turing's theories are confirmed on the 26th of April, when HMS Griffin captures a German naval trawler, finding Bigram tables on board. The tables are printed on red paper in water-soluble ink. To destroy them, a German sailor simply has to throw them overboard. But they don't do it in time. The capture allows Bletchley to break 6 days' worth of Naval Enigma traffic. The remainder of 1940 brings few successes. Searching for a breakthrough, Hut 8 attempts to produce cribs. These are strings of text, phrases, words, numbers, that are likely to appear in an encrypted message. The Royal Air Force assists by laying sea mines in locations that will be spotted by German vessels. When the ships report the mine's location via Enigma, the British are listening and can use the coordinates to create a new crib. But their work is largely futile without the Bigram tables. It's clear to Turing that if they are to break naval codes consistently, The British need to capture more code books. That winter, U-boats continued to prey upon convoys bound for Britain. At Bletchley Park, a trickle of captured material continues to arrive. There are a few isolated breaks into naval enigma, but no major progress. Frustration grows. Then, in March 1941, a British boarding party seizes the German armed trawler Krebs sailing off Norway's Lofoten Islands and finds intact Enigma message key tables. It allows Hut 8 to read naval enigma for several weeks, not quickly enough to provide useful intelligence, but it does allow them to reverse engineer the Bigram tables currently in use. Hut 8 is incredibly close to cracking naval enigma. The final breakthrough comes when codebreaker Harry Hensley makes a discovery amongst the enigma traffic. The German Navy has ships in the Atlantic, which radio weather reports back to base. They send short, simple messages using Enigma, which are then relayed throughout the U-boat fleet. Not only are these ships vulnerable to capture, the standardized format of weather reports makes them an abundant source of cribs. The Royal Navy dispatches task forces to seize the German weather ships. In early May, München is captured in the North Atlantic. Another, the Lauenburg, is taken the following month. Also in May, the crew of HMS Bulldog pull off an astonishing coup, boarding the stricken U-boat U-110 in mid-Atlantic to seize its Enigma machine and codebooks. The material from the weather ships, U-boat captures, a growing library of cribs, and innovations in code-breaking techniques combine to create the breakthrough Hut 8 needs. The Enigma network in use by the German Navy, known as Dolphin, is repeatedly broken through the summer of 1941, and then, from the 20th September, it is broken every day until the end of the war. Intelligence from Naval Enigma gives advance warning of U-boat attacks, allowing the Allies to reroute convoys. It's a critical factor in reducing attacks on merchant shipping. Between March and June 1941, U-boats had destroyed 282,000 tons of shipping every month. In July 1941, the shipping loss to U-boats drops by more than half to 120,000 tons a month, and just 62,000 tons by November. Britain's Atlantic lifeline remains open, for now. The brilliant minds at Bletchley Park have successfully unraveled Enigma, but tighter German procedures and the complexity of naval enigma have made the old pencil and paper techniques obsolete. The code breakers must find new methods to keep up with the Axis. The solution is mechanical, and it comes from one of Bletchley Park's most brilliant minds. Alan Turing had been recruited to the government code and cipher school in 1938 at the age of 26. At Bletchley Park, his eccentricity is legendary. He cycles to work in a gas mask to ward off hay fever, chains his teacup to the radiator to stop it being stolen, and at the outbreak of war, he buried his savings in a secret location, which he subsequently forgot. But his genius is undeniable, and his work and life story will resonate well beyond the war and into the 21st century. Whilst working at Cambridge in the 1930s, he had conceived of what would come to be known as a Turing machine, a theoretical super typewriter that could automatically solve any given problem using preset algorithms. He was further inspired by the work of the Polish codebreaker Marian Rejewski, who had developed an electromechanical device called the bomba. This machine searched through possible Enigma wheel orientations to uncover message settings. Building on this prior work, Turing conceives of a new machine, the bomb. This new design will be able to crack the Germans' most sophisticated wartime Enigma codes. The first model, called Victory, had been installed at Bletchley on the 18th of March, 1940. While several variations will be designed during the war, the typical bombe stands 2 meters tall, weighs about a ton, and contains 19 kilometers of wire. Its rotating drums can mimic the operation of several Enigma machines, and a single bomb is capable of hunting through 17,576 possible Enigma settings in little more than 10 minutes. Although Turing's design functions as intended, it provides too many possible solutions, known as stops. Each stop has to be checked until the correct solution is found. It takes too long, and time is critical. The longer it takes to break an Axis Enigma message, the less useful its contents are. The problem is solved by Gordon Welchman. He devises an add-on board that reduces the number of stops by taking advantage of the Enigma plug board's reciprocal nature. That is to say, if S is plugged into D, then D is plugged into S. This circuit, called the diagonal board, eliminates vast numbers of false positive results, and it can be easily retrofitted to Turing's design. Designed and built in the middle of a war, the bomb is an astonishing achievement and a major milestone on the road to modern computing. It allows Allied codebreakers to keep pace with the conflict, cracking Enigma codes at the volume required to uncover the enemy's plans across land, sea, and air on multiple fronts. By the end of 1941, Bletchley is equipped with 6 bombs. 6 more are added the following year, with more machines moved to outstations around England. Eventually, there will be around 200 bombies in the UK decrypting Enigma codes. The machines require a large workforce to operate them. From 24th March 1941, this workforce is provided by the Women's Royal Naval Service, known as the Wrens. Operating bombs is exhausting and repetitive. They're noisy and reek of machine oil, and their complex moving parts require constant maintenance. The Wrens must operate them with utter precision to ensure the results are accurate. Once the correct settings have been found, messages can be deciphered using the British equivalent of Enigma, the Typex machine, modified to mimic its German counterpart. Although the bombs save countless hours of manual work, each message is just a single piece in an ever-changing jigsaw puzzle, full of abbreviations code names, and technical jargon. The job of unraveling German communications still falls to the code breakers, supported by a growing team of skilled translators and analysts. As the war heats up in North Africa and the Med, Bletchley Park analysts are able to provide a series of important insights into enemy plans. In March 1941, codebreaker Mavis Lever spots something odd amongst the Italian Navy radio traffic. A string of encrypted text that contains not a single letter L. Since an Enigma machine cannot encode a letter as itself, she deduces that an Italian Enigma operator has sent a test signal using just the letter L. This message allows Lever to uncover the wiring of the machine's rotors. Further messages, deciphered by Lever, uncover Italian plans to attack British ships off the Greek coast. This intel leads to the Royal Navy's first major victory in the Mediterranean, when they ambush Italian ships at the Battle of Cape Matapan, sinking 3 heavy cruisers and 2 destroyers. 2 months later, Bletchley Park decrypts assist in locating the battleship Bismarck, pride of the German Navy, in the North Atlantic. The Royal Navy is able to close in and sink the Bismarck on the 27th of May. The codebreakers have given British military planners unprecedented insight into their enemy's communications and intentions. It is the greatest coup in the history of signals intelligence. For the first time, British military intelligence gives it the designation Ultra. But on its own, it's not enough to blunt the German war machine. Britain needs allies. British ultra-intelligence is among several sources that warned Stalin of an impending German invasion in the summer of 1941. To no avail. German forces advanced deep into the Soviet Union. In their wake, SS units engage in the systematic murder of thousands of civilians, particularly Jews. Bletchley picks up their messages. To publicly raise these killings risks letting the Germans know their codes have been broken. But British Prime Minister Winston Churchill decides to speak out, revealing the scale of Nazi war crimes to the world. On 7th December 1941, the Empire of Japan attacks the American naval base at Pearl Harbor, as well as British, U.S., and Dutch bases across East Asia. Britain and the U.S. are now at war with Japan. 4 days later, Hitler declares war on the USA. The war has taken on a new global dimension. Then suddenly, Bletchley Park loses the ability to decipher U-boat communications in the Atlantic. A new type of Enigma machine has surfaced, plunging Bletchley Park into the dark. With American troops and supplies poised to pour across the Atlantic into Europe, the U-boats are once more able to strike without warning. For the code breakers of World War II, data was hard to track down and easily destroyed. But today, our data is everywhere and everlasting. And if we're not careful, we can leave ourselves open to invasions of our privacy, or even cybercrime. Fortunately, our video sponsor, Proton Mail, is fighting to protect your privacy and keep your data safe. We like to think of our emails like sealed private letters, but in reality, they're more like postcards, and big tech companies can easily read, monetize, or misuse their contents. But with Proton Mail, your emails are end-to-end encrypted and protected by strict Swiss privacy laws, ensuring that only you and the recipient can read the contents. Popular messaging apps protect your chats with end-to-end encryption. Why settle for less with your email? At this point, you're probably expecting an Epic History promo code for a discount. With Proton Mail, you don't need one. You can sign up completely free by heading to proton.me/epichistory. Switching to Proton Mail could not be easier. If you don't want to start fresh, their migration tool allows you to easily transfer emails, calendars, and contacts from Google or other providers in just a few clicks. Once you're set up, you can take advantage of more neat tools like unlimited email aliases to reduce spam, automatic folder sorting, and to unsubscribe from unwanted newsletters with just one click. Plus, advanced phishing protection, no targeted ads, dark web monitoring, and tracker blocking by default. Since its launch in 2014, Proton has been on a mission to build an internet where everyone is in control of their digital lives. Today, more than 100 million people use Proton, making it the largest encrypted software platform in the world. Thanks to Proton Mail for sponsoring this video. Thanks, as always, to the Patreon supporters who help to make this channel possible. From builders such as Thomas Vincent, Vedant Salvi, and Wayne Fleury, to citizens like Fraser White, Julian BTC, and Kevin Rogers, and heroes like Patrick McKee. Join their ranks by joining us on Patreon, where you'll get early, ad-free access to new videos, exclusive updates, and votes on future video topics.